Hello, Capricorn. Thank you so much for being here, and a big thank you to all of you who followed me over here. I so love you guys. Thank you so much. And to anybody new, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. And Cap, my apologies for not uploading on the other channel. I just couldn't do it anymore, which is why you, Sag, Aquarius, and Pisces are going first this time. But I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I hope all of you had beautiful birthdays. All right, Cap. So before I get started, just to remind everybody, I tend to read from Sun, Moon, and Rising. But feel free to use this energy wherever Capricorn is in your chart. And please make sure that you're only taking in the messages that resonate with you. All right, Cap. So this time you pulled Seduction, Grief, and the Temple of My Body. Oh man, this one was a little bit rough. So the feeling that I got off of this immediately is that some of you may be dealing with a situation that's going to be coming back through to tempt you. Seduction is saying that you're not doing that anymore. It talks about how you're now able to discern much more clearly between people who are healthy for you and people who you would do well to avoid. And this is about no longer feeling guilty for saying no. And then working with this card talks about resisting unhealthy advances from manipulative people. It says you are no longer available for others to make use of, which I'm looking at that with these two and thinking that this is going to be for those of you who feel like you've been taken advantage of. The problem is you may be still dealing with that in your space. So if something or someone left you feeling like you were taken advantage of, this is where you're still kind of going through the pain of that and going, no, I don't want to do this anymore. There's too much pain involved with this, but it's getting trapped in the body. Now, the other part of this, though, as far as this being in the shadow, this is going to feel like being uncomfortable in your own skin. This is where, we start to talk about body shaming and feeling guilty about your own body and needing to release, whatever trauma may be trapped. Right, now obviously this isn't going to be for all of you, but I think very specifically this is going to be for those of you who have dealt with a manipulative situation that is trying to come back around again. And then that in itself makes me wonder, how many times has this cycle been going on, right? Now, grief. This one really asks the question, how long are you going to linger in that? In the lingering in grief, what is it doing for you as far as your own personal progress, right? Where is it limiting you? How long are you going to linger in that kind of pain? It talks about missing someone or something, but it also talks about the healing process. So you may still be going through a very difficult time due to a manipulative person or situation. Now, the temple of my body, it says, I feel I am not worth enough. The sentence says, my body is the temple of my soul. It has no secrets to me, meaning that it's not something that you are hiding or that you can hide from yourself, that uncomfortable feeling you may be going through. But I like the last part of this because it says our body is a temple. It cannot be defiled. We take a shower, raise our chin, feel proud. It is our body, ours. This, for me, like everything about it makes absolute sense why you would be lingering in a place of grief if you were taken advantage of by somebody. But it could be even more, detrimental if the same shit is still coming back at you. But the whole point here is to, release whatever's been trapped within you and deal with the grief of the situation, go through the healing process, right? But there's a part of it that makes me feel like, depending on what the situation is, you may actually be tempted to want to go back to it, despite the fact that it may have made you feel really bad about being taken advantage of. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know. It's that part of seduction where it's like not feeling guilty about saying no. Why would you ever feel guilty about it? And that's easy for somebody on the outside of the situation to say. So, you know, my first question then is, are you dealing with somebody that knows how to manipulate in such a way where it's like, yeah, I can get Capricorn to do what I want? Like pulling out the guilt trips, right? Ugh, you're over. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here. Your overall is the Emperor, Aries energy. This is where things are restricted, right? There is a certain way of doing things. And this is how it's going to be done because I say so, right? So the Emperor can very much be the my way or the highway type shit. But we'll see here, because we're also talking about control. So immediately for me, when this is the overall, it's like, well, what is controlling you? What has control over you? Or are you moving into a place where you're harnessing, you know, your own power to take control of what is happening? I don't know. I always feel bad when I flip one over and I immediately get that kind of feeling like, why? Why are you here? What are you doing? Like, I'm not excited to see you right now. I don't I don't know what is going on with the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles in the past. You and Sagittarius. Again, you know, we're talking about plans that are being made that, you know, you are wanting to work toward. This is also refining a skill that you have, collaborating with others on a project, right? But it's interesting to me how this seems to be, you know, the energy that is continuing. And this may have to do a lot with the shift of Pluto into Aquarius, I think. But, you know, regardless though, with the Three of Pentacles here, what are you working on? And who are you working on it with? Well, apparently nobody. Jeez, man. So Mars, oh God. I'm looking at Aries and Scorpio here and thinking about where Mars is at right now. But death in the present moment. This is where you start to feel the death of the old you in order to make room for the new, right? And it's interesting because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about the traditional image, or I shouldn't say traditional, but the Smith image, right? Where you have the king dead in the background and, you know, these people looking at death, and you have the fear, the rejection, and then the acceptance. You know, I always say with death, it's over. And it's happening whether you want it to or not. You know, you're either going to go willingly or you're going to go kicking and screaming. But it's over, right? So whatever you were putting your effort into in the past with the Three of Pentacles, it's over. And then, you know, obviously we could be talking about power struggles here, but this is where transformation starts to take place within you. And again, I kind of go back to this, who is in control, right? So future conditions, the Eight of Wands, things start to move quickly. And, you know, there's a couple of ways of looking at this, but because you have death before this, and this transformation that's taking place, I think that once there's an acceptance of something being done with, whether it's, you know, a part of your personality that is dying and transforming into something else, or if we're talking about, you know, the death of a collaboration or a project, whatever it may be, it's almost like it needed to happen in order for things to move in a different direction. And once that acceptance is there, everything starts to move really quickly. And then with the Emperor as the overall, right, like you want to make sure that you are in control of where things are directed. You don't want to be in a situation where you feel like, you know, things are like all over the place, right? Everything's happening too quickly and there's just, you know, wands flying in every direction, right? Now, the other part of this, though, could be some quick, direct communication that's coming through, right? And when I say direct, I mean from the horse's mouth. But the communication in this case may quickly alter the direction that you were going in. But it's really about you being in control of the situation, or at least being aware of the things that, or the people that have had control over you, right? Because that's done with death being there. Your best path to follow, the Nine of Cups. What do you want, right? Wish fulfillment. Well, what do you really want? And this is about taking control and going after the things that are actually going to bring you emotional fulfillment. And not only that, but being content, right? Are you aware of why you want the things that you want? But I don't know, I really feel like you're hitting a point now where everything is changing for you in a very personal way with death. And I can't help, there's this really strong feeling that this is meant to happen this way, to get you to go very quickly in a very different direction. This is like when transformation hits, move through it as quickly as you possibly can. And again, I go back to grief and think, don't linger, right? Don't linger on stuff that's dead, that's gone, it's over. But I think that something may be communicated to you in a way that shifts you completely and really quickly. But it's all to get you to focus on, you know, what you really want, what happiness really means to you. The Queen of Wands. Ooh, I like it. So here's what I'm getting from this. The Queen of Wands, this to me, you know, male or female, this is going to be about the best version of yourself kind of coming out. The one that feels good, looks good, you're attracting attention, you know how to handle groups of people, right? And with the Three of Pentacles, this is where you're looking at becoming your own boss. I mean, straight up, right? And this may be something that you are wanting to have happen before, but it could be that a change in your personality may be required for things to go in that different direction, right? Now, for others of you, you may literally be dealing with a person in your environment that is getting you to go through a transformation that internally is going to make you connect better with the best version of yourself, right? Like I see this as a really, really good transition for you, especially if we're talking about dying to the old self. Now, you don't really die to your old personality. It's what helps you go through the transformation, because you wouldn't become a different person if you didn't have that past personality, right? But I'm looking at her, and I'm also looking at this Nine of Cups, and you quickly changing your direction. And I think it's you no longer, spending time working on situations with people that don't really make you feel like, you're getting what you want, or that you're getting, your wishes fulfilled, or the happiness that you're looking for. But, again, we're talking about you in control, right? And then Aries energy too, with the Queen of Wands, you're talking about the self-starter. So it may be that, again, a change in your personality is required before something can start going in a different direction. But I like all of it. Your hopes and your fears, the Knight of Pentacles. How long is this shit gonna take? Right? But again, methodical. It's methodical movement forward. But the problem is it's going to require you to be willing to take the long way, if that makes sense. Like, we're quickly wanting things to move in a certain direction. And it will, the minute that, you shift gears out of this transformation. But, this may be, because I'm looking at you being more innovative when it comes to a project or something creative that, you're wanting to bring forward. Now, as far as that goes with the Knight of Pentacles, like, how much time can you afford to keep going in a certain direction with this, is what I feel like looking at that. But obviously the fear there would be that there isn't any positive movement. But I still think that, this is about, you looking at the direction that you are taking this. Because here we're talking about things moving quickly, right? Now, on the relationship side, this is really about you no longer being the type of person that gives up control and allowing somebody else to dictate what effort needs to be put into that relationship. That's where, you go through this kind of ending that changes you completely. And it's like the free, creative, beautiful, attractive part of you just comes out and wants to play, right? And then there's the question of things changing very quickly for you, but you needing to get real with yourself about what you actually want. But I'm still looking at this though and thinking, right, like, how long is this shit gonna take? And coming out the Wheel of Fortune, and this is what I'm talking about, right? Going back to the Oracle cards. Here's the thing. The Wheel of Fortune, yes, this is where the cycle starts to change in a better way for you. But the thing is it's still a cycle. And eventually it will turn in a different direction. And what you want to do is to either break it or change it to where you're looking at a world situation rather than the Wheel of Fortune. But this may be a really good stepping stone for some of you, where you're not repeating the same kind of situations where you may have been a doormat where you may have been in controlling situations, whether it's in relationship or work. As far as business goes, it's like things, you know, the way that they were, they're coming to an end, but it's changing in such a way where, you know, the wheel is turning and it's time to act quickly, right? The other part of the Eight of Wands, acting, you know, as soon as you possibly can, striking when the iron is hot, right? But it's still the wheel, though. I'm not a fan of the cycles. Not a fan of the cycles. It's great when it moves in a positive direction, but when it turns again, right? Like, I don't want to repeat the crap that, you know, I've already been through. And that's what I feel like some of you are going to be dealing with if something is coming back. But this is about you turning your own wheel in a more positive direction for you, right? Because you're the one in control, not somebody else. Oh my God. Ugh. That, yeah, and that's the perfect spot for those two queens. I like it. I like it. I like it. But we need to break some patterns. And again, right, getting caught up in negative cycles with the devil. And again, this kind of goes back to the direction that, you know, things were going in the past. This is where we can't start to stagnate on that. You know, it may be that you need to look at possibly doing things in a different way. But you know what I feel like here is that for some of you, in order to like break the negative pattern of continuously trying to work on something that you know isn't good for you, I think you move into a place where it's like it completely changes you to the point where internally more self-reliant, independent, secure with yourself. And it's almost like as soon as that changes within you, because again, we're talking about what's being internalized here, right? Then you have this King of Pentacles coming out of nowhere and changing the cycle. But the thing is as much as I love the pairing between these two, we're still looking at, you know, the devil clarifying this, which means that there's the potential for you and another person to repeat the same thing that you tried before, which is why things need to go in a different direction. But is that what you really want? You know, because I'm looking at those queens and I don't care male or female. And this is about how you're feeling on the inside, right? This is the receptive energy. If you're feeling really good about yourself and you're liking the fact that you're able to be more self-reliant, right? Why would you want to partner with somebody where you're just repeating a cycle? Now, on the other hand, right, in order to break the cycle here with what you're internalizing, you want to make sure that outwardly, with the king, what we're projecting outward is success. And it could literally just be you moving into a place of financial abundance and long-term success. But if you're being realistic and practical about the situation, you may also be looking at your connection with another person as just, it's just physical or it's just material. But it's still a negative thing, and you know it is because of the devil showing up. With the wheel, this is what I'm talking about. Things may be moving in a different direction that may be more positive, but it's about it being positive for you, not for you and somebody else that had you going through the death process. You see what I'm saying? And I go right back to this, right? Like, if you are truly in control of the direction that this wheel is turning, then what do you want? What do you really want? And if it's changed you in such a way that you feel like you're a better version of you, you know, don't be tempted to partner up with somebody and just create the same situation that you've already been through. I hope that that made sense. But wow, man. Inspiration. And I like that in terms of this being about you becoming, you know, your own boss, right? Freedom! Freedom! An expansion. Okay. So, you know, and again, because of the oracle cards and what I'm looking at here, new inspiration that is coming to you through a deep transformation that you're going through, which then creates this sense of freedom, but also opens the door to expansion in your life. And that may be what you need to break the cycle. And you creating a different type of cycle where you're going through a situation where you're a better version of yourself, but you're open to other people, right? We're not repeating the same patterns with the same people that act the same way. You know, it very much reminds me of, you get who you are. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. And that I think is what is changing. And again, for those of you who are looking at this in terms of a relationship, this is you no longer being a doormat. Sagittarius too, wandering path, enjoy the journey. It's never straight, never. And then infinite abundance. Abundance is pouring into your life. Yeah. Yep. I like it. I like it either way in terms of, you know, what you're dealing with relationships. You may have gone through a situation where you may not want to work on things anymore with someone. But I'm looking at you, you know, feeling better about who you are, especially with the temple of my body showing up. You see what I'm saying? Either way, I really, really like this reading for you, but I'm still looking at freedom, right? You went through all of this just to come full circle. And that's kind of where I feel like wandering path is coming through. But, you know, again, you're in control of the way that the cycle turns. And I think that if you have any say about it, it's going to lead you into abundance. And let me just say that I hate the fact that the devil is associated with Capricorn. Right? But there's a couple of ways that I like to look at this. One is, you know, this is about realizing that the material isn't everything, right? So there's the too much focus on the material and needing to remember the spiritual. But, you know, we're talking about Capricorn here. When it comes to having to deal with obstacles in the material, you are more than capable of overcoming that, right? But if we're talking about negative patterns, you know, you don't have to repeat it, right? I hope that that helped. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here again, and I will see you again soon.